Thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with ChrisChamasiros. I talk about politics, sports, and entertainment to keep you well-rounded. What's going on around the world? If you don't like hearing the truth, definitely don't tune into this channel. So let's get started today. So Theo Vaughn, he sits down with John Kiriakou, who claims to be an ex-CIA agent. I don't know if that's possible once you're an agent. I mean, I know he allegedly served some time for basically admitting about certain torture techniques that the CIA was using. He sits down with Theo Vaughn to discuss the dancing Israelis and if Israel was behind 9/11, which I do believe they are. Let's hear John tell you, and we'll go from there.
You think there's a lot of like conspiracies about 9/11, right? And I'm sure you've had.
I take a lot of shit about the conspiracies. Yeah,
you do?
I do. I take a lot of shit because I don't believe in them.
You don't?
No.
So from your experience, because you were there when it happened, you were in the CIA when it occurred, to where we are now, has your point of view changed at all since then to now?
My point of view actually has changed. So I don't think I deserve a lot of the criticism that I
remember. One thing about 9/11, Benjamin Netanyahu was on Israeli TV. He was happy about 9/11. He was saying, it's going to make Americans support the Israel project, expanding Israel's borders, that it was good, that he was celebrating that 9/11 happened to America. Remember, you're always being brainwashed that Israel is America's greatest ally. It doesn't sound like an ally to me. But John, we'll get deeper into the story.
I'm going to start on July the 6th of 2001.
Okay.
So...
And I'm not familiar with the criticism either.
Okay, I'm glad. I'll explain it to you then. Because I get all the time, the Jews did it, the Saudis did it, literally the space aliens did it, the Israeli government did it, the Bush family did it.
I think you're getting carried away right now. So then who did it, John? Who did it? Nobody did it. What I believe happened was that our intelligence officers, they knew it was going to happen, and they were given stand-down orders. Our Air Force was given stand-down orders. Our CIA knew it was going to happen. They allowed it to happen. Because when that happened, guess what was passed the next day? The Patriot Act that took all your privacy and your rights away, everything to protect you. So no, do I think that Americans drove planes into buildings? No, I don't believe that at all. What I believe is that for whatever the reason, when Jesse Ventura went to the CIA and he asked them about this, the CIA openly told him, sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. What do you think that means? How do you think they passed the Patriot Act? All the cameras that you see everywhere, the next day after 9/11, the Patriot Act was passed. Israel gets what they want because they think that 9/11 is going to make the American people support all their endless wars and the expansions of their border. And the American government gets what they want, taking away all your freedoms and rights, monitoring you every second of the day, pretending like they're doing it for your safety.
It's like, come on, people. Nanothermite paint. There's no such thing as nanothermite paint that they painted in 1972 to make the buildings blow up. Come on, you guys.
That to me sounds that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But what does...
I think John is gaslighting here. I think he's just, typical CIA stuff. This is something that Tucker Carlson will do, the same type of tactics. It's been proven the way that the buildings were made, the World Trade Center, the way that it was made, the way that the building went down, that it had to be blown up from the inside. It's been proven because they did some type of test on the metal. And leave it to John Kerry. He's gaslighting because I don't believe that he's out of the CIA. And he has to watch what he says.
Doesn't it sound ridiculous? Is somebody having long-term strategy, like you were saying a little while ago, that people play a longer game,
right?
They
do. And we're not good at that generally.
Oh yeah, I don't think that we are. We're like a country want everything now, and we're kind of a newer country as well. So it's like, and we got everything fast anyway. And when you get something fast, you don't really have a ton of respect for it in some ways.
That's right. That's right.
And it's tough for me to say that because we all just live like one life term, but I think some of that could be infectious over like a society over time. I'd never even thought about it before. before, that it's like, yeah, when you get
We weren't given anything, Theo. We fought for our freedom, unlike other coward countries who thinks that American citizens and military, like Israel, they think that we need to fight their wars for them, and American soldiers need to go around the world and free everybody from their oppressors. How was America started? We were being oppressed and we fought our oppressors. So we weren't given anything, Theo.
something easy, you kind of used to something coming easy.
That's it.
And so, but I do believe that other countries could have strategy against us, and also,
and I believe that there were,
and what it changed for us as a people. Like,
oh, John, I mean, you've been critical of Israel. You don't think that it's possible that Israel had anything to do with that to gain support or gather support for their endless wars and their expansion of their borders by making it look like, oh, it was Islamic terrorists. There was a woman in New York City who filmed these Israelis after 9/11 was going down. They're outside their van and they're waiting for the buildings to go down, the planes to go, and they're out there and they're dancing. And she filmed them and she thought it was odd. Like they had prior knowledge. You can look up the video dancing Israelis. And they were detained by the FBI and they were all from Israel. They were all Israelis. And John, he just miraculously, he doesn't want you to think that Israel had anything to do with it or didn't have any knowledge beforehand that it was going to happen. It's just hard for me to accept when I hear that and I see him and he's a likable person. And he claims to be America first. And then he comes with this type of gaslighting. It's just like, are you really America first?
But it changed, like, for how we look out of our own eyes, for how we walk out of, like, I remember on 9/11, I walked out of a building. I was staying with some friends. I walked outside and there was just some like construction going on, and it had been going on for a while. And they were like redoing these like this stone walkway. I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and they had these bulldozers and stuff out there. And like people had been excited about the construction. Like it was like, because the streets there are cobblestone. It's really beautiful. And suddenly that day, everybody was like, are they demolishing something? Like suddenly this had a whole different energy of like, oh, like this is the rubble. Like there was a connection with like what you just seen on television to suddenly like something that was being done that was positive structurally was now suddenly looked at like there was a lot of fear around it. And I know that's a ridiculous small thing.
But that's normal. That happened at the time.
Right. And it's just how much of a small thing in your head, like, okay, I just seen this and now everything is scary. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Everything is.
You have to remember how big Theo Vaughn's audience is, and the CIA, they like to do stuff like this. So he's going on there and he's making it sound like John Kiriakou is making it sound like anybody that says it was Israel or Iran or, any of these other, like he's gaslighting and he's mocking those sentiments. Okay, John, well, who is it then? Then who's behind 9/11? Instead of just like, oh, it's because all their job is to plant some seeds of doubt in your mind. And by mocking, it's like, oh, the Israelis did it and this one did it. Okay, John, well, who did it then? Who has all the motive to do it? Israel does. Iran does. Certain countries do. I mean, the list can go on and on. But the Saudis, excuse me, I'm saying Iran, the Saudis and Israel, they have every reason to want to get that done, meaning 9/11. And Kiriakou, he just gaslights Theo in the audience like, oh, that was just so stupid to even think such a thing. This is what they do. This is what the CIA does, especially when you have a big audience.
Scary. I think that's exactly right. The whole country was traumatized. It was our Pearl Harbor, the Pearl Harbor of our generation.
And it changed how you would operate. It changed just like it adjusted so many things. Go on though.
So July 6th.
It adjusted so many things. No, it stole so many things. It stole your privacy. You can't even walk 2 feet without a camera above your head, below your head, your computer listening to you, your telephone calls being recorded, everything going into these AI data centers. That's what 9/11 did. And our government wanted that. And the Israeli government wanted it also because it benefits the Israeli government, and it benefits the American government. And then if, you have some Saudi hijackers that are Muslim, oh, wonderful. We could just blame it on the Muslims and that'll make Americans support more endless wars in the Middle East. Wonderful plan. But hey, John here, he doesn't want you to think those things are possible at all. Go figure.
6th, 2001. I'm hosting a group of intelligence officers from a Middle Eastern country. This is something we did literally every single day, usually multiple times a day. And what we do is we set up a day of briefings. They get a photo op with the director, he's shaking hands. We exchange gifts and we take them out to a fancy dinner at night. So these guys, they were all mid-level, like majors and lieutenant colonels.
So it's a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, a lot of it. A lot, yes. So
You know what about John Kiriakou and Andrew Bustamante? They're very, very likable. They're very, very easy on the ears when you listen to them on YouTube. The CIA, they know exactly what they're doing.
So I set up a day of briefings and I went to see this kid, young guy, 20s, that was covering Al-Qaeda. And I said, can you come and just talk to these guys about Al-Qaeda for an hour? He said, yes. So it came time for his briefing, but instead of him coming, the director of counterterrorism comes, Kofor Black, later Ambassador Kofor Black. And he comes
From which country?
from
From the U.S.
Yeah. He was our director.
So he showed up.
He almost slipped and said for Israel, but hey, okay, I'll take your word for it.
Kofor shows up with the director of operations from the Osama bin Laden unit. And I jumped up. I was like, oh, gentlemen, I said, this is Kofor Black. He's the director of counterterrorism for the entire American intelligence community.
And you were working in counterterrorism at the time. Got it.
And so he came in and sat down, and he was very, very serious. He said, something terrible is going to happen. We don't know exactly when or exactly where, but we know it's going to be an attack on a scale that we've never seen before. He said, we're picking up chatter from the Al-Qaeda training camps where camp commanders are on the phone with their students and they're crying and telling them, I'll see you in paradise. We're hearing code words for a massive attack. The honey salesman is coming with vast quantities of honey, where there's going to be a huge wedding or a huge football game. And he said, we know that they're planning an enormous attack. We just don't know when or where. And he said, I'm begging you.
You know what I find interesting about that, right? He's saying that our CIA intercepted these conversations in these Al-Qaeda camps. Okay, if you intercepted the conversations in those Al-Qaeda camps, why didn't you blow them off the effing map? It's a pretty simple question, right? You obviously you were spying and you were listening to what was being said between Al-Qaeda. They were planning attacks on America. Obviously, you know the locations of those camps. So why didn't the United States military and the CIA and the President of the United States, why didn't they blow them to pieces? Oh, that's right, because they wanted it to happen. So they can implement the Patriot Act. Call me whatever you want. That's reality.
If you have any sources inside Al-Qaeda, please help us. They just sat there and looked at him. Nothing. So at the end of the day, I was not working on Al-Qaeda at the time. I later, weeks later, became the chief of...
I assure you one thing. If I had the power and I heard a conversation like that and I heard they were planning an attack on America and I knew that, they would be obliterated within an hour. I would send every weapon in my disposal to blow up those terrorists. Literally, there'd be nothing left of them. Anybody associating with them, anybody done, over with.
Counterintelligence in the Osama bin Laden unit. And so I went to his office at the end of the day before I took those guys to dinner. And I said, Kofor, I got to tell you, you shocked me with that briefing today. Was that just for them or were you serious? He said, oh, I was deadly serious. Something terrible is going to happen. And then on September 11th, there it was. He and I were supposed to go to the White House that morning. We had a meeting with Condoleezza Rice, who was the National Security Advisor at the time, on an issue that's so stupid now, I'm almost embarrassed to tell you what it is. It was about a book that was being printed by the Government Printing Office, this minor governmental agency called Greece, Turkey, Cyprus. Or no, it was called Foreign Affairs of the United States, Greece, Turkey, Cyprus, 1949 to 1967. Oh. Literally nobody's going to read this book.
Nobody, I was going to tell you that. Nobody's going to read it.
Literally nobody.
Yeah.
And it's like 1,000 pages long.
That's money laundering.
And it had the names of 3 CIA sources who were still alive. And we've got this obscure law in the United States that if the government outs a CIA source, we have to offer the source citizenship. These guys are like 100, 98, and 97 years old. They don't care.
Right.
Nobody's going to read the book anyway. So we were going to go down there and ask her, just pull those pages out of the book. You know, nobody's going to miss it. Nobody's going to read it anyhow. Just pull the pages out or redact the names or whatever. But I went up to tell them that the car was ready, and the secretary's got a little TV on her desk, and the World Trade Center's on fire. I said, what happened to the World Trade Center? She said, a plane flew into it. And I go, because I'm a genius, I said, you know, that happened once before in 1930. A bomber flew into the...
Well, John, if you had Al-Qaeda terrorist camps and you were listening to their conversations and you had knowledge before this, why didn't our government blow them off the map?
Empire State Building. But it was like pouring rain and fog. I said, it's so crystal clear today. How can you not see that you're flying into the World Trade Center? And just as I spoke the words, the second plane hit. And then she turned and she said, did you see that or did I imagine it? And it's like, oh, everything's going to go to shit now.
And at this point, you're already working in counterterrorism, yeah?
It's not that it went to shit. I mean, you just admitted that you had pre-knowledge. Al-Qaeda terrorist camps were chatting back and forth that they're planning something huge and big. Obviously, you have the intelligence. I don't mean intelligence in his brain. I mean the intelligence, the information, where these camps are at and who these people are. So why didn't you get rid of them?
Well, I was already in counterterrorism, but I was working on a group. See, again, I'm embarrassed to even say I was working in a group that was targeting European communist terrorists like Carlos the Jackal, who nobody remembers now. He was the Osama bin Laden of the 70s. Nobody remembers who in the world he was.
Really?
Yeah, Carlos the Jackal.
Bring him up.
There he is.
Whoa, he looks suave, huh?
He was Venezuelan, Ilich Ramirez Sanchez. Listen to the balls this guy had.
Don't worry, he's probably in Manhattan right now.
OPEC had an oil ministers meeting.
He's probably on 54th and 10th because the last time I was there, I felt like I was in Venezuela. But hey, that's a whole different video.
Right? So the ministers...
And for those who don't know what OPEC is, it's the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So it's basically like your oil kind of commission.
It's the monopoly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, monopoly.
The what do you call it? The cartel. It's an oil cartel.
Very fair.
So he and his gang of terrorists raided the OPEC oil ministers meeting in Vienna, Austria, and kidnapped every single minister of oil. They killed 3 people, says there.
Oh, yeah.
He demanded a plane, flew everybody to Libya, took his $1 billion ransom that they gave him, and then let everybody go.
Wow. So he was just trying to get a bag, really, huh?
Oh, yeah, and he was good at it. And then he was so good at it, he set up terrorist training camps in Libya and Lebanon, and he trained the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. He trained Greece's revolutionary organization, 17 November, the Red Brigades, the Action Directe.
Why did he feel so convicted to do this sort of behavior?
He was a true believing communist, and he just wanted to bring down the West.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But take me back. So it's like you guys hear that something's going to happen.
Something terrible is going to happen.
But what do you do at that point?
Well, see, that's the key. What do you do? We didn't know what to do, so we're going.
You didn't know what to do, John. The American government doesn't know what to do. The war machine of the American government that never stops blowing up and killing, they didn't know what to do. Well, that's unfortunate because I know what to do. I would have handled it perfectly. There would have been no 9/11 attacks. You can think whatever you can think. It's just talk. That's not. I would have made a decisive decision as soon as I heard the chatter from the intelligence. But hey,
into the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Saudis, the this one, the that one, and they're like, we don't know what's going on. Well, as it turned out, that wasn't true.
Well, maybe you should just hit them all. Hey, I mean, I'm sure we got enough bombs for everybody. We got enough to give to Israel.
Almost all the hijackers, what was it, 16 or 17 of the hijackers came from Saudi Arabia,
right?
And we know that the Saudi ambassador to the United States at the time, Prince Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud, his wife transferred $50,000 from her personal bank account to the hijackers. What are we supposed to make of that?
Yeah, sometimes you got to get your girl to Venmo if you got it. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously, the only time I ever saw George Tenet, who was the CIA director at the time, the only time I ever saw George completely lose his shit was in a meeting with Prince Bandar. He said, if we don't start getting help from the Saudi government on this case, we're going to start killing people, a lot of people, and some of them are going to
You should have took that attitude in the beginning when you heard the chatter.
be named Al Saud. I go out to Pakistan as the chief of counterterrorism operations there in January of 2002. So it's still fresh. We're bombing Tora Bora. All these Al-Qaeda people are trying to get out of Afghanistan, cross into Pakistan. And my job was then to catch them when they came into
But we're
Pakistan.
bombing what? We're bombing which country?
Afghanistan.
We're bombing Afghanistan, right? But why were we looking for Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan?
That's where they were living, all of them. They launched 9/11 from Afghanistan.
Got it.
At least theoretically, the ideas came when they were in Afghanistan.
Because from the American population, it always felt like we never went after Saudi Arabia. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, and we should have.
But didn't you know that?
We did not. We suspected, but we didn't have, there was no smoking gun. So that's what I'm getting to. We catch Abu Zubaydah, Zain al-Abidin, Mohammed Hussein.
I found this very hard to believe. The CIA, if they get to the bottom of it, they have no clue who was behind 9/11. You want us to believe that, John? Just stop, please. We really need new leadership in this country. CIA needs to be gutted from head to toe. It needs to be filled with real patriots, real America First people. President right on down the line. And stuff like this, along with the crime in our country, it needs to stop.
Abu Zubaydah, who we believed at the time
Oh
was
shit! I thought you were having a stroke for a second.
No, that's his name.
No, I'm just joking. That was a joke.
The profession, I know. The profession of faith, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
I've been around people that are stroking out, and if you don't tap in with them, they'll just keep going.
Oh, jeez.
You know, and
Yeah.
they never buy a vowel, and then they just fucking tap out. You know,
That's terrible.
so you guys were doing this guy.
So we're looking for him,
Oh, bro,
and we catch him.
this dude is a fucking mumble rapper. I think. Go on.
We were on him for 6 weeks. We chased him. Some days we'd bust down the door and there's like a warm meal and a half-lit cigarette still on the table. We're like, dang it, with 15 minutes we could have gotten him. Some days we were a day or two behind. So he knew we were after him. He knew we were chasing him all over the friggin' country. And we catch him in late March 2002 in Faisalabad, Pakistan. So we also confiscated his diary. This led to a huge fight between the FBI and the CIA. Huge. And the CIA was right and the FBI was wrong. But the fight was, well, we captured his diary. So I'm sitting
dude,
there.
that sounds so suspect that he has a diary.
It was more than a diary, though.
But even though, you know what I'm saying, like as a regular person.
Oh, no, it didn't have terrorism stuff in it.
Right, but even then, first of all, who the fuck has a...
See, but look.
He does have an eye patch, though.
Sketcher, yeah.
Oh, he drew a lot as well.
Yeah, I see what Theo's saying. He doesn't it doesn't look like the type of dude that's writing down his thoughts or emotions on paper. But hey, I mean, who knows with John?
It's all drawings. All of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all of it's drawings. And most of them are classified top secret. The CIA wouldn't allow them to be released.
Got it.
Because they were mostly about the torture that was done to him.
Understood.
So anyway, we catch the diary and I call headquarters and I said,
That makes more sense now.
listen, we got his diary and there's some fascinating shit in here. Like what? And I said, well, for one, they're the cell phone numbers of 3 Saudi princes. Like, what's up with that? So they were like, put it in writing. So I write this cable back and I was like, we found these 3 princes. Here are their cell phone numbers. George calls in the Saudi ambassador. The president calls the king. What kind of country are you running over there? So we said, we want those 3 princes. We want them like right now. Next thing you know, one goes into the hospital for bariatric surgery because they're all fat.
Mm-hmm.
And he dies on the operating table. The other one is driving from Riyadh to Jeddah on the Riyadh to Jeddah highway. He's in a 1-car accident and is killed in the accident. The third one goes camping in the desert, which is a very popular pastime, and dies of thirst. Yeah. So we couldn't interrogate any of them.
Who do you think do you think that Saudi Arabia did that?
100%.
Right. Do you think we ever got to the bottom of 9/11? Do you think?
No.
You You don't.
No.
Well, it seems to me the leadership above them was trying to cover it up, and I would consider that an act of war, and I would have started dropping bombs on them immediately.
And I'm going to say something that's very unpopular. I think that the Israelis, while not involved in 9/11, absolutely positively had advance warning of 9/11. They had sources inside of Al-Qaeda, and they purposely did not tell us the details because they knew what was going to happen. They knew that we would attack Afghanistan and we would attack Iraq and we would kill 2 million Muslims. And I mean, these dancing Israelis, they've never answered for this. I'm still mad about the dancing Israelis.
I've heard about the dancing Israelis. Bring it up. So you're saying that you believe that they knew.
I think they knew in advance and didn't warn us.
But they didn't warn us because we would
do their dirty work for them.
We would take out issues.
That's better, John. I'm glad you're coming to this conclusion. Maybe you should have started off the video with this, but you know.
With their surrounding guys.
You know, there are videos making the rounds now of Benjamin Netanyahu over the years, over the last 20 plus years, testifying before Congress and saying, you know, if we just took out Saddam Hussein, we would be peace in the Middle East. If we just took out Muammar Gaddafi, there would be, I guarantee you, he says, there would be peace in the Middle East.
And we do it all.
We take out Iran and we're going to have peace in the Middle East.
It's starting to get a little bit more
I think so. A little sus.
Yeah.
So the Iraqis have electrical towers like we have everywhere, but ours have 4 legs. And the Iraqi.
Well, when is the CIA going to do something about Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel? Because obviously they're not our greatest ally. Obviously they're lying through their teeth. Obviously they're not a friend to America. They're a foe. They're an enemy. So when is it time that real Americans and the CIA actually do something about it?
Iraqis have 3 legs. So just a few days before we attacked Iraq, at that time I'm the executive assistant to the deputy director for operations at the CIA. So it's the most serious job I ever had in my life.
So you have access to a lot.
Literally everything.
Wow.
And the Israelis come to us and they said, listen, you guys are going to attack Iraq in a couple days. We want in. We said, absolutely not. We put this coalition together with all these Arab countries. As soon as you guys jump in, all the Arabs are going to drop out. Just let us do it. Next thing you know, every one of these electrical towers just begins to topple over, like 150 miles worth in the Western Desert, because somebody put explosives on just one of the 3 legs. And I remember my boss saying, these damn Israelis, they just can't leave well enough alone. They just don't ever do as they're told.
Oh, God. And that's why they need to be treated as enemies. And that's why they shouldn't have access to our military, our weaponry, be getting endless aid from us, dragging us into endless wars. That's why the relationship needs to be over now.
Look at this, the dancing Israelis. And we're talking about the Israeli government. We're not talking about Israeli people.
I'm far less worried about the dancing Israelis than I am about the Israelis who were arrested on 9/11.
Okay. But just so I can say the claim, because I don't know, I've never even spoken about this. The dancing Israelis is a 9/11 related conspiracy trope based on the arrest of 5 Israeli men in New Jersey on September.
It's not a conspiracy. They were filmed. There's a video. You could bring up the video. They were filmed outside their van dancing before the planes even hit. The ladies like that film that said it looks like they had prior knowledge, which they did, which we all know that they did. Just stop.
2001. And this is according to Perplexity. And it was some guys, I think they were on a building top and they were kind of dancing like around
high-fiving each other.
Yeah, a bread truck or something as you can see the towers in the distance. A New Jersey woman reported 5 men near a van overlooking Manhattan who appeared to be celebrating and taking photos as the Twin Towers burned. Police later stopped a suspicious van and detained 5 Israeli citizens. They had items like box cutters and multiple passports, which conspiracy theorists later fixated on, but box cutters are normal tools for a moving delivery job.
They were happy because they knew exactly what was going to happen, that we would have to enter the war, we would attack Afghanistan, we would probably...
Thousands of Americans died in 9/11, and America's greatest ally, they're dancing to it because it benefits them. Isn't it sickening already? Haven't you had enough?
Then, take a permanent position in the region, which is exactly what happened.
Right.
That's why they were dancing. They were happy. 9/11 is a good thing for Israel.
Yeah.
It got us militarily engaged over the long term.
But you don't think that they were involved in the setting up of it?
I don't.
Yeah.
No.
And I completely disagree with him. Completely.
And there's never been any evidence to suggest that they were involved in any way.
I have no idea.
No. But there was another thing too, and this is a big.
You have to understand how Mossad operates. They also infiltrate all the other organizations, these terrorist camps. You know, they can get money to these people to do certain things. And Kiriakou, he already knows that. So he's entitled to his opinion. I'm entitled to mine.
Bigger issue. It's that the Israelis spy on the United States. They've always spied on the United States.
Do we spy on them also?
No. And that's written in stone at the CIA. We do not spy on Israel. But they openly spy on us. They're all.
Don't worry, that's all going to change. That's going to change in 2028. It's all coming to an end. So
over the country stealing defense secrets.
Do we spy on other countries?
Yeah, we spy on almost every.
Why can't we spy on them?
It's a political decision that's been made. Yeah, a political decision in the White House, on Capitol Hill.
Could you imagine that? They cannot exist and operate without America's military or money. And they're telling us what to do, meaning Israel. They spy on us left and right, but we're not allowed to spy on them and see what they're doing. Because the last guy that did that, John F. Kennedy, we also saw what ended up happening to him because he wanted to do an audit of their nuclear program. It's just sickening.
Sometimes it just feels like our country is just kind of owned by Israel and they just don't say that. Do you think that that's true or do you think that's fictional?
Well, I don't think it's so clear cut. I think the truth is that the Israelis have inordinate political influence in the United States, especially in our.
You don't believe that, John? You don't believe that Israel? You don't believe that Benjamin Netanyahu controls Trump and the military? You don't believe that? Really? How does this war right now benefit anybody in America? It doesn't. It only benefits Israel. That's it. Interesting. You got the other piece of garbage, Jonathan Pollard, saying that if America doesn't give Israel everything it wants, that America needs to be nuked. Don't worry, Jonathan Pollard, in 2028, you're going to regret those words.
Our elections.
Yeah. Well, they just had that election with Thomas Massey that
exactly. That's the best example.
That got overtaken. What happened with that election? Let's bring it up. I mean, I know that Thomas lost, but it was the largest.
Yeah, $35 million was spent.
The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, and other pro-Israel interest groups have uncorked over $9 million in a bid to unseat Republican Representative Thomas Massey on Tuesday, which they did in a competitive primary that has shattered spending records. Prominent pro-Israel GOP donors have funneled millions more into a super PAC stood up by President Donald Trump's political operation that has spent nearly $7 million on the race. Overall ad spending has topped $32 million, making it the most expensive House primary on record per tracking firm Ad Impact. Wow.
For a job that pays $180,000 a year.
So what are the long-term benefits of them getting this position, or was it just about getting Massey out?
It was getting Massey. The thing about AIPAC is if you are not 100% pro-Israel, they will primary you. They'll primary you with somebody who is.
It needs to end. This whole system, the way that AIPAC is controlling both sides of the aisle, it needs to come to an end. And it's going to come to an end with our next president.
100% pro-Israel. And sometimes, you know, the perfect is the enemy of the good. Where
what does that mean?
Where you've got, for example, there was an incumbent Democrat in New Jersey who voted pro-Israel 90% of the time. They ran a primary opponent against him. Who was 100% pro-Israel, and he lost, but so did she. And the one that won was the one that's pro-Palestinian.
Ah, I see. So sometimes by taking out, by aiming for one, you might let another through.
You end up hurting your own cause.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can understand people's angst with this sort of thing. I mean, the biggest thing is just like if Israel is involved in a genocide, right? They're genociding people.
Right.
It's almost like, why would you let Nazi Germany invest in your people who are going to be running congressmen or senators in your country? It's crazy. I don't see how there's not a law. Like, why isn't there a law if a country's doing like a Holocaust or like a genocide, that they're not allowed to invest in, that they're not allowed to have a lobby in our elections?
See,
was there ever a law about that?
no. And they would lose their shit over the use of the word genocide. You used it. I use it. It's a genocide. It meets
We've been using it on here for years.
Oh yeah, it meets all the internet.
Oh, I can't wait till it comes to an end. Trust me. I can't wait to see them lose their shit, that their shenanigans and games are over, and laws in America bringing it to an end.
National legal requirements of a genocide.
Yeah, well, I think the UN has voted that it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if the vote passed, because I think there was maybe some groups that wouldn't agree to it.
Well, it didn't pass the Security Council, but it passed by 90-something% in the General Assembly.
Yeah, but I don't understand why that seems fair. And also, I'm amazed that I don't understand why people that made like movies and wrote books about the Holocaust, why they don't speak up and say, hey,
yeah,
this is the same thing that I wrote about. You know what I'm saying? You can show picture to picture that makes it exactly.
Killing is wrong. It's wrong no matter who's doing the killing or who's being killed. It's just wrong.
But I don't see why some of those people don't speak up. You know?
Well, there is an increasingly large number of Jewish Americans.
Well, John, seems to me Israel's the one doing all the killing. And when Trump tries to make a peace deal and they keep blowing up the peace deal by bombing and killing more people, maybe America needs to drop some bombs on them to let them know who's in charge.
Americans who are speaking out. There's a big group called Jewish Voices for Peace. The Orthodox Jewish community in New York has been very vocal. Just this week, there was
a protest going on, wasn't
annual Israel Day parade, and a lot of the Orthodox Jews from Brooklyn showed up with Palestinian and Iranian flags, and it caused violence. Yeah,
I guess I just don't understand why. What is America afraid of? Like what have you seen like in the CIA? Because
Theo, they're corrupt. Money. Why do you think Trump's able to get whatever he wants? Hotels, this, it's Trump. It's all of these politicians. It's because of money. We need to elect people that can't be corrupted, that are happy with their salary. It's because of corruption and money.
it does. You hear a lot that like that the Israeli influence like has taken over our CIA and our FBI. Do you think that that's true or not?
Well, I can't speak to the FBI, and my CIA information is dated. I left the CIA more than 20.
Well, I heard in the FBI, the first thing they make you do is take a trip to Israel and the Holocaust cemetery and everything else, trying to, pretty much force your hand. You signed up for the FBI and you took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And instead, they want you to put Israel first before America. People like Mike Huckabee, the scum of the planet. It's just disgusting. It really is.
20 years ago. But when I was there, we kept the Israelis at arm's length, like seriously so. The very first liaison intelligence briefing I ever gave was to the Israelis. I had been only on the job 6 weeks. And my boss said, listen, you're going to give a liaison briefing. It's going to be a whole big group of people. So you're going to be the last one to talk because you're the most junior. But you need to know some of the ground rules. He said, we do not meet with the Israelis in the building. We used to, but every time they'd come, they'd bring us gifts. And the gifts are always packed with listening devices and batteries.
Is that true?
Oh, Mark Levin, I thought Israel doesn't ever spy on America, Mark Levin.
Yes.
Ben Shapiro.
100% true.
Would you guys find him? How do you even know that that's true?
Because you have to x-ray everything that comes into the building. You can't just wantonly walk in off the street with, boxes of gifts and say, here, this is for you.
And what'd they do, to sew a couple Palestinian ears from the rubble?
And they're like, oh, we're just joking.
Oh, it's like joking stuff.
Yeah, it's not joking.
Right. So that happened during your time. Was that with other countries too? So I'm sure there's other countries that like.
Oh, there are other countries we don't even have liaison with.
Got it.
But with the Israelis, we had to rent a place and we would meet with them in the place. On my very first day at the CIA, you meet in the auditorium called the Bubble.
That's how much contempt they have for you, and they have zero respect for any of us, America, Trump, all of us. So this is who they think they are. They think they run the show. They think they call the shots. We pay for everybody in that country for them to have free healthcare, free housing, to go to college for free, to have children. We pay for their border wall. They cannot exist without our military. And this is how they treat us. Disgusting.
And the head of HR comes out and the director comes and says, welcome to the CIA. And then the head of security, it's just a parade of important people come to welcome you. So the head of security said a couple things. One was funny. He said, the gravest threat facing America today is the threat of Soviet communism. And I said to the guy next to me, does this guy not read the papers?
More like Israel controlling the United States of America. But hey, let's keep blaming Russia. That's always the go-to. Blame Russia for everything. And no, I wasn't with Candace Owens in Russia on vacation. Or no, Russia's not paying me. Check my bank account. You'll know nobody's paying me.
There is no Soviet Union anymore. Anyway, he went on to say that the Israelis have two declared intelligence officers in the United States, one Mossad and one Shin Bet, so CIA and FBI equivalents. They're at the Israeli embassy in Washington. But the FBI has identified 187 additional undeclared Israeli intelligence officers spread out all over America, stealing secrets.
And that's why every single one, that's why dual citizenship in both needs to be expelled immediately. There should be no more dual citizenship. You either pick us or you go back to the country you love so much. Every one of those 188 Israeli spies that aren't registered, they need to be rounded up. They need to be sent to Gitmo and treated as terrorists and enemies to our country. Who the hell do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You don't think Benjamin Netanyahu knows who all those 200 people are, or the 200 spies from Israel that are not registered? You think he does? Of course he knows who they are. Aren't you sick of it yet?
From defense contractors. So the lesson was, don't ever talk about work outside the building. Don't ever eat at the restaurants in McLean, Virginia, because they're all Russian KGB, and back then it was the KGB, and Israeli Mossad agents eating there to hear what the CIA people are saying after work.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds exciting though, at least.
It was kind of exciting.
I bet it was like a real whodunit.
I loved it. I really did. Yeah. I loved it until I didn't love it, you know? Yeah. After 9/11, everybody went nuts and just wanted to kill everyone. I was getting ready to go to Pakistan. And so I stopped by the office on my way to the airport just to say goodbye. Because Kofor said on 9/11, he stood up on his desk.
Kofor Black, you said?
Kofor Black, yeah. He stood up on his desk and he said, today we're at war. All of us are going to have to do our part. Not all of us are going to be able to come home. So he said, if you want to walk now, walk, and nobody will think less of you. Nobody budged. So I stopped by the office because I want to say goodbye. I don't know. Am I going to get shot? Am I going to get blown up? Am I going to get killed? I don't know. So I just want to say goodbye.
Say goodbye to Kofor?
No, to Kofor, to my boss, excuse me, and to the people I was working with.
Well, why would you have gotten shot?
I was the chief of counterterrorism operations. That's the job I'm going out to. I'm busting down doors 3 nights a week. And I worked for this guy, lovely, lovely guy. Nice suits, just a really, like very professorial. And he gives me a hug and he leans in and he says, kill them all. And I said, really?
Yeah, John, sounds like music to my ears, but hey, you know. Anybody that had something to do with it, they need to go.
Have we gotten there already?
Wow.
And he says, kill them all. And then I went to the airport. I was like, am I the only guy who thinks we should do this by the book? Apparently I was.
That's crazy, man.
It was ugly. You should see some of the pictures I have on my phone. They'll make your hair stand up.
I don't know. There's already a lot of stuff I'm not allowed to look at. I have blockers on my phone. So, yeah, I'm just going to donate.
See, you have to also look at it from this perspective. It's like, maybe they're telling them to kill them all because it also benefits Israel to get rid of certain individuals in the Muslim world. So, you know, it's like a real tricky game that they're all playing. But if you get to the bottom of it, that they were definitely involved, like if you have information where certain people were definitely involved in 9/11, we all know what the outcome needs to be. but you have to be careful. You can't just be like a robot. Like, yeah, let me just get all of them, because you could also be being lied to by your superiors because they're corrupted and corrupt by Israel also. So
My eyes to charity, I think, soon.
Come with me to shop Ashley's Stars and Stripes sale. Okay, so these hot buys start at $4.99, and I'm low-key redecorating.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. For some, summer is their favorite season. Travel picks up and the kids are out of school and adventure is the focus. For others, juggling it all can be tough and they're just counting down the minutes until the kids are back in school. If you're feeling off, this is a reminder to check in with yourself. Hey, self, what's going on? BetterHelp can help. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 6 million people globally. And it works, with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.
I can.
So when you get involved, like, how bad did it get after 9/11 where the rules of like interrogating and that sort of thing changed?
Ah, that's a good question. You know, the dirty little secret was literally not one single CIA officer was trained in interrogation techniques. So as soon as we started catching these guys, I mean, I'd only been there but a week. We started catching them, and my boss is like, interrogate them. I'm like, I don't know how to interrogate people. I can interview them.
And what do you even wear, sneakers? I mean, what do you even put on to do something like that?
Yeah, I wore sneakers most days, polo shirt, jeans.
Bro, you can't interrogate somebody in a polo shirt.
That's all I brought with me, that and sweatshirts, because it was cold when I arrived.
You got to put on a Chicago Bears jersey or something.
Oh my God, it was so
Chicago
weird.
Bears jersey.
See, in one of the early raids, we had also confiscated the Al-Qaeda training manual. Well, I
Do you still have one of those or not? You think?
No. I turned everything in. But you know what? It might be online. It might be out there now.
I want one.
So I was, I spoke and read Arabic. And so we're going through the training manual and I'm translating it to the guys in my branch as I'm reading it. Well, everything that was in the manual, these prisoners would do as we would catch them. So I say, what's your name? The guy goes, oh, like he's having a ruptured appendix. Oh, what's your name? And he like pretends to faint and falls off the chair. And then he just kind of opens one eye to look at you. And I'm like,
yeah, and I drop an elbow right in his forehead.
the fuck up and get back in the chair. What's your name? And then like, do you hit him? Do you not hit him? Do you grab him by the shirt and shake? I mean, I didn't know what the rules were.
So
there were no rules.
And so what kind of environment, I mean, what did you end up having to do? Like, what do you do in those sort of situations? Like,
Well-
are you responsible to garner information? Do you even feel like the people you're catching have real information? The shit sounds kind of vague.
Everybody has something. It's called the mosaic concept, where everybody's got a little tile in his brain. And if you collect enough tiles, you can put the whole picture together. So, I mean, some of it sounds comical now. I would say to the Pakistani lieutenant colonel that I was working with on a daily basis, I'd say, you want to be the good cop today? I'll be the bad cop, or you want to be the bad cop again? I'll be the good cop. And then we decide in advance. Then I go in, we start talking to these guys. The first guy we captured, he was Jordanian. And they bring him in, he's shackled at the ankles, shackled at the waist, and then they undo the waist shackle and they chain him to an eye bolt in the table. So you have to know the answers to all the questions that you're asking, right? So I'm like, what's your name? He tells me his name. Where did you come from? I came from Tora Bora. And what happened in Tora Bora? The Americans began bombing us. And then where did you go? He said, I tried to escape. So I went into a cave, and then the Americans bombed the cave, and the guy like had blood squirted out of his ears, and he had brain damage, and finally made it across the border. I lay out a map. Tell me exactly how you got across the border. We knew what the rat lines were. And he told the truth. This is the way we came through this pass. Everything he told me was true. And so I said to him, he said, what's going to happen to me? And I said, honestly, I don't know. You're probably going to spend some time in jail here, and then we're going to send you to Jordan. And I don't know what the Jordanians are going to do to you, because he was Jordanian.
Yeah.
So I said to him, but let me ask you something.
I do like John's business approach to this when you talk to them, because you do need to extract information out of them, and you'll be able to understand when they're lying and when they're not. You'll be able to know when you need to step on the gas. But you know the old saying, you get more with honey than you do with vinegar.
I know that what you told me was true. Why did you tell me the truth? And he goes, I'm your prisoner. What good would it do me to lie to you? He said, I know how these things work. I know that you knew the answers to these questions. It doesn't help me in any way to lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, thank you. And then he says, let me ask you something now. He said, I assume you're Christian. And I said, yes. And he says, I would like to invite you into the embrace of Islam, and I'll be your godfather. I said, well, thank you very much.
And what is that?
I think
Someone's
I'll
like a
decline.
Boy Scouts or something? Or he'd like as a scout leader, kind of like he'll
Yeah.
be like your sponsor,
Yeah, like
Okay.
my sponsor. He's going to convert me to Islam, and I'm going to
which
say,
is Muslim, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said, yeah.
And you should have said, you know what, I'm really good at making bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich. You want to try one?
Thanks, but no thanks. And I wish you the best. And I remember saying to a colleague of
BLT.
mine, my God, if everyone goes like that, it's going to be incredible. The next raid we did, we bust down the door, 2:00 in the morning, and it's two kids. They're 19 years old from Tunisia, and they both just burst into tears.
Oh,
And so we cuff them, and one kid is just heaving, sobbing, and the other one is begging me to let him call his mother. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, you can't call your mother.
what'd they do?
They were Arabs without passports or visas in an Al-Qaeda safe house, and that was good enough for me.
Got it.
So we got to the point where
Oh, you mean the tough guys? Hey, don't you love hearing stories like that? Because they're all so tough. You know, they're tough with like 6-year-old girls, and when there's 50 of them and one person. I love hearing stories like that. They were throwing up and convulsing, knowing that they were going to go to Gitmo and get waterboarded. Music to my ears.
we had literally filled the Rawalpindi jail in Rawalpindi, Pakistan. It's this gigantic city that's kind of attached to Islamabad. Islamabad's the capital, but it's very, very small.
Mm-hmm.
Rawalpindi is where the military is located, and it's like 5, 6, 7 million people there. So Rawalpindi jail, there it is. That's
Wow.
it. My God, I haven't been to the Rawalpindi jail in 24 years.
I'll
And I'll tell you what, I don't remember it looking that good either.
I've never been.
Well, yeah, thank your lucky stars.
Really?
Yeah, it's not good. So the PACs called me and they said, look, we've literally filled the jail. You got to do something with these guys. I said, okay. So I call headquarters. I said, the PACs are telling me that the jail's full. What do you want to do with them? They said, put them on a C-12 and send them to Guantanamo. I said, Guantanamo, Cuba? Why would we send them to Cuba? And they said, we came up with this idea. We're going to send everybody to Cuba, and then we're going to divide them up after we figure out what federal district court to charge them with. Because 9/11 was an open criminal investigation at the time, and the crimes were committed in the Eastern District of Massachusetts, hijacking, the Western District of Pennsylvania, hijacking, the Eastern District of Virginia, the Pentagon, and the Southern District of New York. I said, that's a great idea. So we just started loading these guys on an endless, parade of C-12 transport planes and sending them to Guantanamo. And then somebody in Dick Cheney's office, probably David Addington, although he's never admitted it, somebody said, you know what? These guys don't have any rights in Cuba. Why don't we just leave them there like forever?
Mm.
And here we are, 24 years later,
Some of them are still there.
and they're still there.
Most of them, you think?
34 of them. At the height, we had like 770, I think was when it was at its most full.
I went there one time to perform as a comedian.
Yeah.
Went down there and was performing for some of the troops there and stuff. And you got to see some of the just the
Yeah,
way you would fly
You
in
can
it.
see it in the distance.
Oh yeah, well, the way you'd fly in at night, they would fly in like this kind of crazy pattern, and
Yeah, they do.
and it was lit up. It almost looked like a big wedding ring in the distance because they had like just these bright lights on the fences surrounding the base, and so you come in like at this crazy kind of pattern, and you kind of had to go around. We went from,
Right.
I think
Because
we
you
went,
can't cross Cuban airspace.
I think we went
So you
from
have to go around
yeah.
and come up from the south.
we went from somewhere in Florida and went around.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense. I mean, it was interesting. And then we got to go right up by the detainee centers, and I think we even saw some guys playing volleyball and stuff. But were there tortures where people lost their lives? That you were
yeah.
involved in?
Not that I was involved in, thank God. There were,
But like, at what point do you call like one off that's getting out of hand? Like, have you been in one that was getting out of hand?
no, because when we were
Theo, you can't ask him those questions. Come on.
catching guys, we had not yet implemented the torture program. So the torture program was conceived and approved in October of 2001.
Okay.
I got to Pakistan in January of 2002. And we're like, what do we do with these guys? Well, the FBI's there with us. They're like, you can't like hit them, or you can't do anything to them. If they don't talk, then okay, we just send them to Guantanamo.
And because you ended up coming out and speaking out about torture that was happening.
Right.
But how would they let you do that if you weren't aware of it firsthand, though?
Well, because remember, I became the executive assistant to the deputy director.
Oh, so you would see the reports coming.
Gee, that was pretty witty. Ooh. Man, Theo, I didn't know you had that in you.
Back. You see all the
Every
cables
report
coming back in?
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Was some of it pretty intense, do you feel like?
Oh, it was bad. Most of the news outlets that I talk to, they make the biggest deal out of waterboarding. There's waterboarding right there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there were techniques that were worse than waterboarding. Sleep deprivation.
Did you see what Theo said? Well, how did you write a book and how did you blow the whistle if you weren't there to see it? And, Theo, let me say, Theo in his old age, he's getting kind of vicious and calculated. New Theo.
Yeah.
Is one.
And the scary part is he does it with a smile on his face.
And in terms of causing death, the cold cell. You see sensory deprivation, that was also a terrible one.
What is that like?
Sensory deprivation, they put you in like an isolation tank,
Mm-hmm.
and you're surrounded by water, and you literally go crazy from the silence.
So you're in like one of those kind of one of those places you can go pay to do, and it's like quiet in there.
But instead of being in there for an hour or 2 hours, you're in there for 3 weeks.
Are they playing music or?
No, it's complete silence and darkness. Complete and total, like you're dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers does that.
I think that's nuts. But there were a couple that were worse than waterboarding. The cold cell,
Mm-hmm.
we strip the prisoner naked. You chain him to an eye bolt in the ceiling so he can't lay or sit or get comfortable in
Can you
any
keep
way.
your underpants on? Or you
No,
can't?
no. Because the idea is to humiliate them.
Oh.
Remember, in their religion,
Oh.
nakedness is shameful,
Yeah.
right? And nakedness in front of a woman. And we would have women interrogators strip them
No.
naked just to humiliate them. Yeah. You see this rectal feeding.
They're so hypocritical, aren't they? Do all the sexual assault grooming gangs, the Muslim sexual assault gangs and grooming gangs, do they follow those protocols in the UK and in Britain? I don't think so, but hey.
Rectal feeding?
Yeah, what we did is we forced tubes up their asses and then with a pump, pumped hummus up there just to insult their culture.
No way. Who was coming up with these ideas? I'm sure
There were 2 contract psychologists at the CIA, James Mitchell and Bruce Jessen.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
They came up with these plans?
Yeah, and we paid them $108 million of the taxpayers' money for it.
Wow. But when you look at, were these people
To put some hummus up somebody's you-know-what. Wow. Talk about taking tax money and spending it in good places.
criminals? I see. This is what's
Well, that's
interesting.
the thing. That's the thing, Theo. They've never been charged with a crime.
Right.
So charge them. If these guys are as bad as we say they are, charge them with a crime. If they're as bad as we say they are, find them guilty, sentence them to death, and execute them.
We won't even charge people in our country who are committing a crime.
No.
So I think that it's like, that's like a problem that's been across the board is like, what is the crime? Charge somebody with a crime.
Yeah.
It's
Charge
not
them with a
happening in
crime.
our own country.
But you
because
can't.
this is so wild to hear.
You could charge them with aiding and abetting terrorism if you really wanted to. So
About because it's
you could put a RICO case on them. I mean, come on, be serious. It's easy to charge them with something. Why should they? Just keep them indefinitely locked up. If they know they're part of it, whatever. Don't be part of stuff like that then.
like, it's interesting, like just as a person, right? You're like, okay, did these guys do something really bad to kill people in our country, right? Were they doing really harmful stuff? Are they like,
And they were.
right?
Yeah. But they confessed through torture. So none of it's admissible. None of it.
Right. Okay. So, but then it's like, it's like, how do you solve something like that? With more crime?
Well, there was a deal that was made during the Biden administration. So it was like the top 3 or 4, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Ammar al-Baluch, Ramzi bin Ashib, and somebody else. They agreed to plead guilty to terrorism, and what they got in exchange was life without parole and a promise not to send them to Supermax in Colorado because they said they couldn't deal with the cold. They wanted to stay in Cuba because it's warm. So life without parole. And Biden's Secretary of Defense vacated the deal, and he says, you can't make a deal like that. I have to make that deal because I'm the Secretary of Defense. And it went through the courts, and then the Biden administration, there it is right there.
The Biden administration, Department of Defense, and who were these 4 guys? They were the men accused of
Khalid
plotting.
Sheikh Mohammed, Walid bin Attash, Mustafa Housawi.
They were accused
That's
of plotting the September 11th terrorist attacks, right? The Biden administration, Department of Defense reached plea agreements with 3 prominent al-Qaeda figures, whom you just mentioned, accused of plotting the September 11th terrorist attacks. However, following intense political and public backlash, the administration moved to block the agreement, and the courts later threw it out. So what happened to the guys? They're just still being
They're just
held?
still there. You see right there, the terms. They agreed to plead guilty to murdering 2,976 people in exchange for life without parole. Okay, so the deal was thrown out. So now what do they have? They have life without parole. That's the deal.
Right. Same thing.
It's the same thing. They're never going to be released.
But why didn't we? What was the reason why? Because the reaction from people?
It was really reaction from the Biden administration, from the Biden.
All right, let me end it with that. I mean, I've said what I said. I do like John Kiriakou. I'm sure he has some certain protocols to follow. To me, once you're in the CIA, you're always in the CIA, but he's a likable person. He's a decent human being. And I'm going to end it with that. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with Chris Chamasiros.